Today, big news. Bill Cosby got released from prison.
Free my nigga. Already gets canceled.
Don't point to the sky. He's not dead. He's not dead yet.
God free my nigga.
Oh, okay.
Everyone turns on right now. Fuck these guys.
So I was reading a little bit of it, and you know me, I don't fucking read the whole article.
Right.
And the only reason he got released wasn't because he didn't do it. There was nothing like that. It was because they had an agreement with the prosecutor that he wasn't going to get charged for this, and then he ended up getting charged, and he basically got off on a technicality,
right?
Which I guess good for him, whatever, whatever. But still, it's just like it's not like he didn't do it, right?
Yeah, but also, I mean, for the people who don't believe he didn't do it, this is going to add more fuel to the fire that see what I'm saying, like he didn't do it or whatever, but.
But nothing was disproven as far as like the evidence that he quaalude all these bitches.
The thing that was so confusing to me, I was like, such a high profile case. They already had an agreement beforehand that, hey, for you to basically testify that you did drug these women, you have to basically say that you did do that, and then we will not charge you for any of these rapes or everything like that. He did it, and then they double backed and was like, no, we're going to charge you now. But my whole thing is, why did it take this long?
Yeah, that's what my thing is like, everyone's like, oh, well, some people are going, good for Bill Cosby being out. Like, dude, his lawyers suck.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck?
If you had this thing and it's been almost 3 years, like.
It was either that or the whole COVID year where everything was getting pushed back in courts and shit like that. Maybe that's why it took that long, but still, there wasn't COVID before.
Yeah.
I don't even think it should take that long. Because if you remember, and this is just off the top of my head, with the fucking Aaron Hernandez trial, his appeal was like couple months later after he got sentenced, and that was like quick, you know. And once they denied that, then he committed suicide.
Yeah, but I think I want to say there's a whole NFL organization behind that, like pushing it forward, getting it like going through it quick as possible.
Not when you're like him, because he was released by the Patriots, and then they completely disassociated themselves from him. Period.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they scrubbed. Probably find nothing.
You can find nothing on him with the Patriots, but this was very odd because like we read that. Okay, so this was basically his whole trial was fucked from the start. So why did he spend 3 years in jail?
Yeah.
It's odd. Not saying that he doesn't deserve to go to jail.
Of course.
Because, yes, the shit that he's accused of is fucking wild.
Yeah, I don't think anyone here believes that he didn't do it.
No.
Like, it was, the evidence was like, whoa. Like, that's a lot of evidence.
However, and this is going to be the controversial part of this situation, if this was a like what they're saying, and he was, he basically got off because the prosecution fucked up and they charged him for this. I will say that everyone who talks about equality when it comes for this, because everyone, when this first happened, they associated with racism and everything like that, right? So within this situation, someone who's very wealthy got off on a technicality, right? So I feel like everyone's like up in arms, like, what the fuck, like how, and everything like that. But I'm like, to me, that's equality. That's literally what's supposed to happen. Like,
it happens for my race,
right? So I'm like, this should happen for him. Now, of course, if this happens for Harvey Weinstein or someone like that as well, I will stand firm and say the same thing. Because if the prosecution fucked up on his case too, and R. Kelly and all these other people who are accused of this shit, if they fuck up like this, then they deserve to have the same type of situation that Bill Cosby did. You fucked up.
Yeah.
So now I'm out.
And then instead of wasting time at the people that got off on technicality, fucking get mad at the fucking prosecutors, man. Be mad at the people actually organizing this shit. Like, it was such a fucking open and shut case, and then they fucked it up. For what? Because they got lazy? Because they thought it was so open and shut? It's fucking stupid.
I would love to talk to an attorney about how that works from the situation where you have an agreement and you guys all know where it goes, and then how you can be like, let's try him now.
Yeah. Also, how could they make that agreement with him? He did these things. Was it just like they
because the prosecutors, the side that speaks for the city or the people who are pressing the charges, will try to plea it just because they go, okay, this off of this case, this is what he's going to be charged with, and these are the years here. Well, let's take in a stature to who he is, and then let's move him a little further on that scale, and then all of a sudden, this is what he's going to serve. So at that point, it's just that whole, okay, this is who he is. This is what he brings to this community. This, and this. And they do that with all the high profile cases like that. And they just add the charges. And then it's based off of how many people are going further into it instead of just like most of them. And I'm not trying to say that they were out there for money, but most of them, once it came to the money part, that's when most people are like, all right, I'm done. I got what I needed out of this to make me feel like I've been paid, or I got my W out of this. And that's where, instead of it going further, and then that's where...
It's just weird because this was such a... I could see that with people that are just rich in the community behind the scenes aren't famous.
Right.
But these people are extremely famous in the public eye, and everyone was just like, yeah, motherfucker did it, and he even pled guilty to it, so...
Because it also has to deal with when the allegations took place, the time, and then like Jason said, who's willing to come forward. I think of the actual like trial, there was only like a couple of women who actually came forward. There was what they said, like there was like 30 or something that said that he did something, but only a couple were actually
on record and willing to
testify.
work with them.
So it's like basically the prosecutor goes, okay, because he's him and we know he has the money to fight this for a very long time, let's offer this. He'll go down as whatever charge he's gonna get, and then it'll be a civil case, and at least we get the conviction, because that's what they're trying to get.
Right, like, conviction with no prison time. What was the original deal?
Right, but then it was supposed to, I believe, all be worked out in civil court.
Okay,
but then that's the confusion. I'm like, so how he agreed to that clearly, and then it was like, all right, now that he said that he did do it, let's prosecute him, which is like, that's crazy to me.
If you were in Bill Cosby's place, would you have pled guilty just to not do prison time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be okay with it being on your record? Like,
well, if I was his age, he's 80 something years old.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
His record really is like
right now though.
If at my age,
right now, no.
You're fighting the case. Yeah. Because I mean, they made that deal for a reason, right? Like, they made the deal because they thought maybe we're not going to win this. So,
well, see, that's the thing. That's the sucky thing about, I feel like, being someone who's famous or being someone that has money, because people automatically think that you don't want to fight something because you know you're guilty, and it's easier just to pay them off. 'Cause in the same regard, that was Kobe, right?
Right.
But all signs, the reason that case got thrown out was because of the woman. It wasn't a Kobe thing. Like, she was found that a lot of her stuff didn't add up, and then the case got thrown out, right? Mm-hmm. But because it was handled civilly afterwards, it's like, oh, see, he did it because he paid her and blah, blah, blah. And that's the sucky thing, because sometimes what I've learned from documentaries of people who do this shit, sometimes they do it just because they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, and then the lawyer ends up costing more money than the actual thing there.
Well, it's like with Michael Jackson. When his whole thing first blew up, no one knew. Right. He's guilty by association. So we'll never know the true thing, what happened, because I think there's only one kid that's still alive that was around. Now, Macaulay Culkin, he's been on record like, no, he's never done anything. All these people have been around him say he's never done anything. So when you have a high-profile person, I think they will start paying because they don't want their name dragged through the media. And day 5 of the OJ trial, and day 6, because now OJ was never able to get a job even after that, the first case. So why would you want to have to go through that and not be able to work again? When if I pay him off, maybe in 10 years, people stop thinking about it, and that's where we'll be.
Yeah, it's different because with today's time, it's like anything with rape, sexual assault, anything domestic, that's a hard thing.
Plus with the internet now, back then, if Bill Cosby, obviously they were saying that he was doing this way before. If there was this platform, this internet around then, I think it wouldn't have lasted as long.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But then with this one specifically, the reason I asked you guys is you would take that on your record is because now he's a registered sex offender, right?
Yeah,
so now anywhere you move, you have to tell your neighbors and shit like that. So you willing to deal with that for the rest of your life, or for however long that lasts? Is that for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. So
see, again, with him, age-wise, I don't think he gives a shit.
of course not.
His 3 neighbors and his big old spread already know.
I wonder if is that a thing where, like, because if he's super rich, right? So you could buy a house where, like, the neighbors are, like, miles away. Do you still have to tell your neighbors that they live
I think if it's in that mile range, it's probably like a radius.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For people who are, again, who would say, like, I wouldn't fight it or whatever, blah, 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 you also have to think about just the type of person you are and also what happens in prison to people who rape people. Like, it's not the greatest time in there. It's not,
or it is the greatest time.
You know. So,
finally, it's happening to me.
Yes,
that's all I ever wanted.
If I plead guilty, I can go, right?
Like, for people, it's like, y'all think R. Kelly is trying to get out because he's innocent? Or y'all think he's trying to get out because he knows what the hell's going to happen once he's really in there?
He's a skinny motherfucker, too.
Yeah, like...
He's going to break.
You going to fly. You going to believe you can fly.
I